Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my official Wrestlepalooza predictions video. We're gonna go through every single match that's currently announced for Wrestlepalooza. Currently, there is 5 as of the making of this video. I'm gonna tell you who I think is gonna win, why I think they're gonna win, and where storylines can go after Wrestlepalooza as we go towards Crown Jewel. And of course, this is your opportunity in the comment section to leave me your match predictions as well, or tell me if you think I'm right or wrong. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I'm incredibly confident that you are going to fall in love with his YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. By the way, we are going to be live streaming Wrestlepalooza as a community. I'm going to be traveling, but I'm still going to be live streaming it from the hotel. So if you do want to watch it with a community, make sure you come back to the YouTube page because we are going to be hanging out watching all of Wrestlepalooza together. And you already know if you want more than just the daily wrestling content to go check out the Patreon, patreon.com/SantiZap. That's enough. Let's actually start the video now. Let's start things off by talking about the Usos. Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso taking on The Vision, Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. All right, so I really think that you can make a strong case for either of these teams winning. The case for the Usos being that they just reunited, and if you want this nostalgia act to feel like it's got momentum right off the bat, then you should probably give them the victory, and a great way to give them that momentum is for them to win their first match reuniting against a very strong team of Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. On top of that, a lot of people have a lot of high hopes for this Usos reunion to the point where they think that the Usos reuniting could be the catalyst to save the dead Raw tag team division. And if you want to see them as champions here in the near future, then they should probably be winning here. On top of that, you have the new demeanor of Jey Uso, a new character kind of being unlocked, and having him look strong here, it could be a great way to continue down the path of this character becoming more like the tribal chief Roman Reigns. But there is the case to be made for the Vision, and the case to me is a lot simpler. This faction, unless your name is Seth Rollins, seems to just be losing left, right, and center. They lost at SummerSlam in their tag team match. Bronson Reed lost at Clash in Paris, and both of them have been taking losses periodically on Monday Night Raw as well. So they really need a jolt of momentum because the only one that seems to be picking up wins is Seth Rollins. But right now, Seth Rollins seems to be separated from Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. So at some point, if you want us to take these guys seriously as a tag team and as a threat when Seth Rollins isn't there, then they need to win and win definitively eventually. So like I said, I think that there is a strong case to be made for both of these guys, but I'm gonna go with the Vision winning here because I think that there is another X factor that could be involved in this match, and not just involved in the match, but involved in the finish. His name is LA Knight. Yeah, LA Knight has been part of this entire storyline and the build up to this PLE match, and yet he's not in the PLE match. And I'm expecting that because he's such an integral part to the story, such an integral part to the development of this new Jey Uso character, and the fact that ESPN probably wants as many big names and recognizable stars to be part of this show, I have a feeling that they're going to interject LA Knight here. And if he does interject, I think it's to attack Jey Uso, to get his back for what happened on the most recent episode of Monday Night Raw with Jey Uso taking him out with a spear. Now, the question is that a full-blown LA Knight heel turn? It might not necessarily be. He could still be a tweener in this situation where he's not there to help the Vision. He's just there to take out Jey Uso because he has very legitimate beef that's been playing out on TV with him. And if LA Knight can cost the Usos, then you can actually continue to further develop the story of Jey Uso becoming more dark, becoming more like the tribal chief, becoming more unforgiving and a lot more relentless, and set him off down the path of feuding with LA Knight. So I personally like that outcome more than just the Usos straight up winning. I think that there's a lot more benefit to the Vision winning here, especially if you add LA Knight into the picture. I'm not predicting a full-blown heel turn. I'm not saying LA Knight joining the Vision. I'm just saying LA Knight taking out Jey Uso because of their own personal one-on-one beef. So I am picking Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, the Vision, to win this match. By the way, I've made the same argument about the last several matches on PLEs involving the Vision. The Vision has to look strong. If you want us to take them seriously, then they should win. And they've lost all of them. So just keep that in mind as well, because they might just be ignoring that aspect of making them look strong altogether. But whatever, I'm gonna make the pick again. I'm gonna go with the Vision. Next up, we have a match for the vacant Women's World Championship between Io Sky and Stephanie Vaquer. I think that everybody agrees that this has been maybe the most frustrating build to any of the matches at Wrestlepalooza, mostly because there basically has been no build at all whatsoever to speak about. We've known about the existence of this match for a handful of weeks now, and yet WWE hasn't had Io Sky and Stephanie Stephanie Vaquer to actually have a conversation, backstage segment, in-ring promos, contract signings, none of it. And this is concerning, especially because one of the competitors, Io Sky, is being featured heavily every single week, while the other one, Stephanie Vaquer, can't buy a single second of TV time on Monday Night Raw and is getting more TV time on NXT. Now, there is rumors circulating that the reason why Stephanie has been away hasn't been because of injury or because of a lack of desire to use her, but because she's been going to English classes and trying to get better at cutting English promos. And if you watch the most recent episode of NXT, I think it's been working. Her English is significantly better. So I ask myself, why send Stephanie Vaquer to English classes and sacrifice her appearances on Monday Night Raw? My answer is they want to make her a champion. And if you want to have your champion be a good champion, they need to be able to cut promos. And maybe that's what they're trying to achieve here. Make sure that Stephanie can cut solid English promos so that they can give her a nice lengthy run and storylines as the women's world champion. Because when I look at the two, Stephanie Vaquer and Io Sky frankly doesn't need the women's world championship to continue down the path that she's currently going down, which is a feud with Asuka and the Kabuki Warriors. That thing is fully off the mount. Like, that thing is a storyline that is going down the speedway. It doesn't need the world championship as a catalyst to get it going. Giving the world championship to Io Sky doesn't do anything. It doesn't change the narrative and the scope of the current storylines that she's actually currently in. It might change it a little bit in that now Asuka has a reason to want to go after Io Sky, but the story has never been about jealousy for Io Sky's accomplishments. It's been jealousy of Io Sky interacting with other people, and I don't know how a world championship changes that. Meanwhile, with Stephanie Vaquer, we are in a blank slate, and if she has gotten that much better with her English promos, you can give her the title right now and do whatever you want to your heart's desire, to your heart's content, because she's a blank slate. There's nobody that she's attached to. You can start brand new storylines, brand new feuds with Stephanie Vaquer, and if I'm WWE, I love the sound of that flexibility. Now, it is a vacant championship, and I think in these situations, you can sort of toss a coin, but I'm gonna go down the route of Stephanie Vaquer. I have confidence that WWE in itself has confidence in Stephanie Vaquer and wants to actually push Stephanie Vaquer, and just wanted to make sure that once they give her the championship, that she was going to be the best champion possible. So I'm going to be hopeful here, and I'm going to predict that Stephanie Vaquer will be our new women's world champion. Like I said, after the match, Io, nothing changes for her. She can continue down the same storyline with Rhea Ripley and the Kabuki Warriors, but with Stephanie Vaquer, you can do to your heart's content whatever you want. Next up, let's talk about the WWE Undisputed Championship match between the champion Cody Rhodes going up against Drew McIntyre. Man, SmackDown is just so much better when our champion is there. Please don't go away again, Cody Rhodes. Hopefully they don't do any more reshoots or that he's done filming Street Fighter altogether, because it's nice to have our champion here finally. Because Drew McIntyre spent weeks trying to build this storyline and this feud completely on his own, and it just doesn't work. You need both of these guys there cutting promos on each other to really generate buzz, but we're here. We already know how we got here. Drew McIntyre basically kicked Cody Rhodes' head, and in storyline, Cody Rhodes has been injured this entire time. They didn't mention that he was out filming Street Fighter or anything like that, but now Cody Rhodes is back from this fake injury and immediately challenged Drew McIntyre to a match of Wrestlepalooza after Drew McIntyre beat Randy Orton. Okay, so I think that this could go several ways. This could be a match that could be a catalyst for more matches between Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre. Maybe they do an entire trilogy of matches, and this is Cody Rhodes' fall feud that could end at Survivor Series War Games. Or this match could be a catalyst for a triple threat match, because a lot of people are anticipating that Randy Orton might get involved in this match in some way, shape, or form, so that down the line we can get a triple threat match between all three of these guys. But based on how SmackDown went with Drew McIntyre beating Randy Orton, albeit not entirely clean, but also not using that many underhanded tactics, if you really think about it, at least nothing that's completely out of the ordinary, I would think that Drew McIntyre has earned the right to have his own full-fledged feud with Cody Rhodes. And if you want us to truly buy into Drew McIntyre actually being taken seriously as a main eventer and not, we know he's just here for a short time, not a long time, then you should probably do a proper program between him and Cody. Yes, they have a match at Wrestlepalooza, but this hasn't really been a program. Beyond Wrestlepalooza and the build up to Crown Jewel and beyond that, I want to see more interactions between Drew McIntyre and Cody Cody Rhodes. So because of that, I'm going to predict that Randy Orton is not going to get himself involved in this. Because if he does get himself involved in this, then I think this idea of Drew McIntyre getting his own evil, diabolical run at the World Championship kind of gets thrown out the window, because everybody's just going to be anticipating for when are we going to get the Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes feud. Now, that being said, I am picking Cody Rhodes to win here. I think that there's a possibility that somewhere down the line, later in future matches later this year between Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre, that Drew McIntyre could potentially win, but not in this first match, not in this first attempt. I'm picking Cody Rhodes to retain, and then after this match, we can do a proper program build up between these two so that, you know, we don't have a match that's just sort of made impromptu. So there it is. I'm picking Cody Rhodes to retain here, and for this feud to continue for the next several months after Wrestlepalooza. Next up, we have the biggest mixed tag team match probably in the history of the WWE, that being the match between CM Punk and AJ Lee going up against Seth frickin' Rollins and Becky Lynch. Out of all of the matches that we have on this show, from a storyline perspective, this has easily been the best built match. I think the best match of the night is going to go to Io Sky and Stephanie Vaquer, but in terms of the storyline and the match that I'm the most excited about from a story perspective, it's easily this mixed tag match. One of the things that I'm really excited to see, and more so curious to see, is what AJ Lee looks like in the ring. You have to remember that she hasn't had a proper WWE wrestling match in front of a giant arena in over 10 years. And she's going up against people that are marquee names of this industry that are doing this week in, week out. So there is going to be a giant spotlight on what AJ Lee is able to do from an in-ring perspective. Now, in terms of this match, it's very clear that this is going to be a starting point for an offshoot of multiple feuds. Obviously, a future feud between CM Punk and Seth Rollins, a feud that continues to get hotter and hotter. But the one that I'm really excited about is the future prospect of a feud for the Women's Intercontinental Championship between Becky Lynch and AJ Lee. And to me, because I absolutely see AJ Lee going after the Women's Intercontinental Championship, to me, that's the dead giveaway. Because if you bring AJ Lee back after 10 years to lose, which by the way, isn't out of the realm of possibility. That's something that WWE has done in the past. You know, big hiatus, they return, they lose. CM Punk returning, getting eliminated in the Royal Rumble. Brock Lesnar returning in 2012, losing to John Cena in his first match. So it wouldn't be crazy for WWE to have AJ lose here. However, I think if you want fans to truly get behind AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch for the Women's Intercontinental Championship and have it make sense from an on-screen perspective, you need to have CM Punk and AJ Lee win here, because if they lose, then what justification does AJ Lee have to go after the Women's Intercontinental Championship? In fact, she has zero. So let's predict something a little bit extra. How do we give AJ Lee that definitive way to say, I deserve a chance at the Women's Intercontinental Championship? The answer is easy. Not only do you have CM Punk and AJ Lee win, but you have AJ Lee pin Becky Lynch. It's just as simple as that. And then once that happens, of course, you can continue with Seth Rollins and CM Punk, but now all the justification in the world is right there in front of our very eyes to run AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch somewhere down the line. Becky Lynch taking an L here hurts her in no way, shape, and form, because she would be getting pinned by a returning legend, and she's doing some of the best work of her career anyway. Becky Lynch can easily eat a pin. Seth Rollins, I don't think is going to get pinned because he's the World Heavyweight Champion, and CM Punk has been getting clowned left, right, and center, and I think that this guy needs a W in some capacity sometime soon. So that's what I'm predicting. I am predicting that CM Punk and AJ Lee will be winning here, and the extra bonus prediction is that AJ Lee will be the one to pin Becky Lynch. And now let's go to what I'm assuming is going to be the main event between John Cena and Brock Lesnar. Out of all of the matches on this premium live event card, this is the build that I've been the most disappointed by, because yes, obviously it's massive names, John Cena and Brock Lesnar. Everybody's going to want to see this match just on name power alone. However, it seems like that's all WWE has been relying on, because yeah, we've had Brock Lesnar return at SummerSlam, take out John Cena, return on SmackDown, take out John Cena during the United States Championship match, but we haven't had any conversations or interactions between them, and it doesn't look like we're going to have any, because John Cena seems to be scheduled for Raw and Brock Lesnar on SmackDown. They don't actually seem to be like they're going to be talking to one another at all. And up until now, as of the making of this video, they haven't even so much as had a conversation about each other. John Cena hasn't said a word about Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar hasn't said a word about John Cena or his motivations as to why he's back to take out John Cena. So in terms of a storyline, there isn't one. It's literally just relying on star power and the legacy behind these these two as well. In fact, I think WWE's video package about the parallel careers of John Cena and Brock Lesnar did a better job at building up to Brock Lesnar and John Cena than the actual on-screen feud. So in terms of how this match could end, I'm leaning one of two ways. The first one is Brock Lesnar just wins. He eats Cena alive, and that in itself is the catalyst to do a rematch at the upcoming Premium Live event, Crown Jewel. The other one is John Cena wins, and then at the end of the match, once the credits are about to roll, a new name comes down to introduce himself as John Cena's next opponent for Crown Jewel. Now, both of these scenarios have something in common. That thing in common is that it sets us up for the Crown Jewel match, because whatever happens at this show needs to set us up for the Crown Jewel match that John Cena is going to have, because John Cena is confirmed for Crown Jewel, but he doesn't have any episodes of SmackDown or Monday Night Raw scheduled between Wrestlepalooza and Crown Jewel. So you're not going to have episodes of Raw and SmackDown to build to whatever John Cena's next match is going to be, which means that they literally need to use the end of Wrestlepalooza to set up John Cena's next storyline and feud to take place immediately at the next PLE. Oh, that was a lot to take in. In terms of what I want it to be somebody new. I don't want him to run Brock Lesnar again. So I'm going to predict with my heart as opposed to predicting with my brain. I'm going to predict that John Cena is going to win here. And it does make sense for John to win here because Brock Lesnar is one of the few names that has truly haunted him in his career, with really his only victory over him being that match at Extreme Rules in 2012 when Brock Lesnar first came back from his hiatus and his time in UFC and NFL. But before that, in the Ruthless Aggression era, Brock Lesnar ate John Cena alive. After the match in 2012, Brock Lesnar ate John Cena alive. And I think it's time for John Cena in his farewell tour to finally get his big win over Brock Lesnar and avenge that absolute massacre that he suffered at the hands of Brock Lesnar in SummerSlam in the mid-2010s. I wouldn't be surprised if this match does an homage to that SummerSlam match with Brock Lesnar eating John Cena alive, and then we get what we thought we were going to get in that SummerSlam match, which is John Cena, Super Cena making the comeback. That didn't happen back then, but I'm predicting that it will happen here. So I'm going to predict that John Cena is going to finally exorcise the demon that is Brock Lesnar and walk out with a victory. Now, that does bring the question of what happens next if I'm predicting that John Cena is going to win. Who's going to be that big name that comes down and challenges John Cena? I think you could go honestly an infinite amount of ways. You can go with a guy like AJ Styles if you wanted to. Maybe a Dominic Mysterio comes out and calls a shot against John Cena. Who knows? Maybe it's a return. Maybe it's somebody from his past. No, I don't think it's going to be Adam Copeland, considering he is going to have a match earlier in the day at All Out. And that's the question that I want to leave to you guys. If you do see somebody returning or somebody coming out to challenge John Cena at end Wrestlepalooza, who do you see it being? I want to see in the comments down below what you guys say, so I can give you a shout out if you say it right. But that's it, folks. That's my predictions. Now, you may notice that there's only 5 matches. It's entirely possible that WWE might add more. In fact, that brings us to a quick conversation before we end the video of the future of these predictions videos, because historically, I always publish these on the Sunday before an upcoming Premium Live event, and that has always worked really well for me because usually every single match has already been announced up until that point. But that just hasn't been the case over the last couple of months because of how many Premium Live events there's been. WWE has been using every single episode of Raw and SmackDown that they could possibly use to build whatever upcoming PLE there is, which means that they've been announcing matches on go-home episodes of Raw and SmackDown, something that they didn't used to do, but they are, and they've been doing it for the last several months, which means that my last handful of predictions videos have been incomplete and don't include every single match that ultimately gets announced for the show. Now, it's impossible to try and predict like when I should do these, because it's possible that maybe they really do only do these 5, but maybe they add one on Monday Night Raw. But even SmackDown, like and for the go home to Clash in Paris, they added a tag team match on the go home episode of Friday Night SmackDown, and I just can't wait that long to make these videos. So I'll continue to make them on the Sundays, but if it starts getting worse or it continues down this path, I might have to move these to like Wednesday, maybe Thursday, but even then I think that's too late. Something to think about, but you know, it's really not the end of the world. It's about as big of a first world problem as it gets. But that's it, folks. Thank you so much for listening to my predictions. Again, down in the comments below, please let me know yours. I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget about our live stream together where we can watch Wrestlepalooza as a community. But that's it. I'm done. Goodbye. Get out of here.